Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Darwin, and in today's video I want to take some time to talk a little bit about the Outlaw Rogue hidden skin farm and how it's a little bit ridiculous. If you are an Outlaw Rogue and you've been farming the hidden skin, you know exactly what I'm talking about, but if you're somebody who hasn't been clued in on what it takes for an Outlaw Rogue to get the hidden skin, let me talk to you a bit through the process. So you gotta get 2 bindings for the actual hidden artifact skin. These bindings come from 2 different bosses in 2 different dungeons. One of them is Natharan's Lair last boss. He has a small chance to drop you the binding. The next one is the Golem boss, I don't remember his name, from Vault of the Wardens. He's one of the 2 bosses that you have to use mechanics within the dungeon, within the boss fight, to freeze him so he'll take more damage and you burst him down when you can after the room fills up with lava. So that's the second boss you gotta farm. So 2 dungeons, 2 different bosses. They both have a very small chance. When we're talking about small, we're talking about something rivaling invincible drop chance. A chance to drop one of the bindings for Windlord. Once you get 1 binding, you go back to Stormheim, you talk to one of the NPCs there, and they give you a quest where you have to get the other binding, and you have to get some reagents, like 10 ore of some sort. And that's really it. The ore part is easy, but the bindings themselves, I feel like are a little bit much. And what most rogues have been doing is they've been getting into 5-man groups and been skipping as much of the dungeon to get through the bosses, because if you were to go kill every single boss up until the very last one that you need, it takes so long, from between 6 to 8 minutes, and when you're doing this runs over and over and over and over and over, you basically lose an hour of your life. So a lot of people are finding ways to just skip through as many bosses as they can to get to the one they need. And once you get the boss, you kill yourself, start at the beginning of the dungeon, run out, reset it, run back in, and do it over and over and over again. So that's what rogues are doing. They get in groups of 5 to run these bosses. And I feel that the drop chance for the Outlaw hidden skin weapon, the bindings themselves, is a little bit low. And I feel like with the recent hotfix to Vault of the Wardens, making the farm even more lengthy, it's a bit much. And I feel like let's take a second look at the Outlaw Rogue hidden skin weapon. And basically, I want to talk a little bit about the hidden skin, the drop chance, the process that it takes to get it, and I want to look in comparison at some of the other rogue hidden skins, as well as some of the other class hidden skins, and take a look at maybe there's not that much consistency in terms of how you get this one, and why does the Outlaw weapon skin have to be so RNG locked? It is a little bit insane. There's only a handful of rogues that have the artifact skin for Outlaw rogues, the ones that got it legit, not the ones that got some kind of a race change or a faction swap, and then they were able to get a second skin for subtlety or assassination weapons, and then you somehow unlock the second skin for Outlaw and you skip the first skin completely. So the way you unlock the actual skin for Outlaw is a bit much, and in comparison to other rogues, it's so heavily RNG. Let's take a look at the subtlety, let's take a look at assassination weapon. Both of those have a little bit of RNG to them. For assassination, you gotta farm mobs in the underbelly of Dalaran, where everybody can PvP one another and it's just a shit show. And you have a chance to get the cipher, and which gives you the skin. So it's a chance, it's a pretty small chance. Some people have had to farm as many as 20 mobs in order to get it, but 20 is nowhere as high of a number as 168, which is one rogue that's actually farmed 168 times of the Golem boss in Vault of the Wardens. 168, and still hasn't even seen the binding drop for anybody out of the 5 rogues that he runs with in the group. And rogues usually rotate, it's not usually not the same group, so he's just rotating. 168 runs of Vault of the Wardens, hasn't even seen binding drop for anybody in his life in that dungeon altogether. So the assassination one drops as we've seen it around in the game. We've seen it around all over the place. We've seen rogues running around with the bony daggers. Let's take a look at the subtlety one now. I got the subtlety skin. It took me about my second run through the Thunder King vaults, because that's what you need to do. You just go farm either the ticket, which you get from a random chance of your order halls if you got a perk from your order hall, or you can simply pickpocket a bunch of NPCs in Surmar until you get a coin. You take it to the Noggin Frog or Goblin guy, and he gives you a chance to pick one of the things in the vault, and there's a chance when you do this that you get a set of keys. I think it's like 3 keys. You take those keys to Toshi, which is the Pandaren assassination rogue or subtlety rogue in Order Hall. She takes you to the Thunder King vault, which is something everybody has run back in Pandaria in the past, and you basically have to run it, collect as many keys as you can, and after the timer runs out, you unlock as many chests as you can, depending on how many keys you got, and each chest has a chance, a pretty decent chance, to drop you the weapon itself. Some people have reported to have farmed as many as like 2 or 3 hours worth of just straight up farming in order to see if they can get a subtlety weapon. For assassination weapon, people have reported to be farming something between 5 to 8 hours worth of just straight up farming mobs in the underbelly. For the Outlaw Rogue, people are about an average of 20 plus hours or so of straight up farming. I mean, talking about like whenever you are online and actually playing the game, those minutes stack into hours, and then those hours stack up into about 20 plus. So when you take a look at the other rogue specs, Assassination Subtlety do have an RNG chance, but it's definitely higher than that of an Outlaw, since we see people running around with the actual weapons. Now, when we take a look at some of the other examples we have from other classes, we find out that there's some other options, some other alternatives that they have. For example, Vengeance Demon Hunter, you have to get a random chance to drop some charm, talk to an NPC, and then fight an NPC in the air using airstreams and the glide mechanic as a type of skill style, well, to skillfully be able to glide around the airstreams and fight this mob. Once you defeat it, you get your hidden artifact skin. So one of the things that we see right here is what they've done for one of the specs is taken a mechanic that is completely niche to that certain spec, like Demon Hunters and gliding, and use that to create a challenge where you have to use that gliding to maximum potential, where you have to fight a mob while staying up in airstreams and not falling down. So that's one of the ways to get your artifact, is through some kind of a skill-based action, which is cool. So that's one of the ways that they've done. Another way they have done for the tank Demon Hunter, for example, is to go into Twisted Nether and fight as many demons over and over and over as a tank, taking on multiple enemies until you get it. So one of the ways to do it is to farm through mobs, which you can just get together, kill them. That's fairly easy compared to running a dungeon over and over, or something as skillful as Vengeance Demon Hunter, where you have to use the glide mechanic to stay with the boss. I'd prefer that over farming mobs over and over and over. We have another one that is stuck to a Emerald Nightmare, which is with the Guardian Druids. It's more thematic. You fight a mob or a boss called Ursoc, and on Ursoc you have a chance to drop the Mark of the Glade Guardian, which is the hidden artifact skin for Bear Druids. We also have something like this for Shadow Priest. After you complete the actual raid for Emerald Nightmare, if you go into a cave way out in the distance that you never would think to go, you'll find your artifact skin there with some coded message or whatever. When we take a look at some of these other artifact skins, we see some kind of like indefinites, where you definitely get it if you accomplish certain objective, if you accomplish certain goal. They're either thematic, like for druids with being able to fight an Ursoc bear and you get the skin off of him. Shadow Priest, where you have to finish the whole dungeon in order to get your weapon with some kind of a secret message. Then we have Vengeance Demon Hunter, where you have to use a mechanic niche to your class or spec and be able to fight a boss using it. Or something like what Vengeance Demon Hunter has with Tank, where you just kill mobs over and over and over in multiple packs until you get yours. But then not all the artifact skins are that special. Some of them are simply RNG. But for example, we have Fire Mage RNG one. It simply drops from mobs in Suramar. So you go around in Suramar, kill as many mobs as you need until the weapon drops for you. Easy as that. While on one hand it's like, well, yes, that does seem easy just for specifically Fire Mages. At least that RNG isn't some ridiculous farming nightmare. It's along the lines of Assassination Rogues, where you have to farm rares in Dalaran Underbelly. Or it's somewhat similar to that of a Subtlety, because Subtlety has a pretty high chance to drop it. I've seen plenty of Fire Mages walking around with a hidden artifact skin. So if it is RNG, it's completely fine if it's something monotonous or something cool and unique, but not something as grueling as the Outlaw Rogue ridiculous farm. You have to do so many of these dungeons over and over and over again. Basically what I'm saying is I feel like some of the other artifact hidden skins have a better chance, or if it is RNG, it is usually a very soft RNG in order to give you opportunity to get your skin. It's not a 100% guarantee that you get it, but it's not 100% that you will never ever get it. And I kind of feel that with the way that it's going for the Outlaw Rogues, it basically is such a low chance that it doesn't make sense. So what rogues have been doing is going through ways to skip as many bosses as they can in order to get as many runs in as they can, and with the recent hotfix, it's going to make it that much more difficult for Vault of the Wardens to be farmable. What they did is they fixed a wall. There's a wall that rogues could clip through and get to the golem boss as quickly as they can. And at first you might think, right? At first you might think that, hey, you know, they are going through a clipping in the game. They are kind of using a mechanic. They are kind of using items, like for example, gliders, where you shouldn't be able to use those items to get to the boss quicker. And I thought same thing too. But after a first few times of running these bosses, like the first time I ran, okay, I didn't get nothing. After about 10 times, alright, still didn't get nothing. After about 20 times of farming a boss, I thought, okay, this is a bit much, but I didn't get nothing. And then you do it 20 times the next day. And then you do it 10 more times the next day. And then you just kind of give up altogether because the farming is just like, why am I not running invincible at this point? I feel like I have better luck there. So let's get this straight. The actual skin and the parts for the skin are very, very difficult to farm. It is not a question of they are difficult as in player skill is involved here, but it's so RNG. It is a bit ridiculous, and nobody is really having fun doing it. What I propose is maybe Blizzard should increase the chance for it to drop, because then players wouldn't feel there's a need to clip through a wall and find every possible shortcut in order to have as many runs as possible and as many attempts as possible, just to increase the chance slightly that they just maybe will be able to get their hidden artifact bindings. So I feel like maybe Blizzard should make the actual bindings and the chance for them to drop be increased depending if you're running a higher difficulty dungeon. So let's say you're running normal, you have a low percentage, like let's say something like 5%. And if you do heroic, it's 10%. But if you do a mythic plus, or even a mythic plus, you get 20% chance. This way, rogues would just be able to get in the mythic group that requires you to follow mechanics, that requires for you to follow the boss fights, and requires you to be able to keep up a DPS, and nobody will take you with a low item level. But at least you'll be able to have a considerable chance because you are having to put some effort into the dungeon. And while I know that all the specs of rogues have been pretty RNG, this one would still be RNG without making it so punishing where you just have to run it over and over and over and over until you just lose your fucking mind. And I think it would just make everybody happy. But that's just my thoughts on it. I feel like my solution would make sense because then at least it wouldn't be like, oh, here we go, you were given a binding on a silver platter. At least you have to get some kind of gear and learn the mechanics and have some kind of a challenge in terms of being able to get the binding. That or simply increase its chance indefinitely for doing normal runs. But that's really all I have for you guys for the day. So let me know what you think about the hidden artifact ridiculousness. I think it's a bit much, and I think there are things that Blizzard could do in order to increase the chances for it while making it justifiable why you would increase the chance for it. So I feel like gating it behind Mythic or Mythic Plus for a higher chance would make a lot more sense than having to just be such a low RNG chance no matter what difficulty you run the dungeon on. Anyway guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about the Outlaw Rogue farming and the hidden skin, and let me know if you think it's ridiculous. What are some of your suggestions of how you would change the actual skin farm? My name is Darren. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.